when Supreme Personality of Godhead protect such devotees, then they are always freed from these dualities. Dualities means there will be four various defects as we discussed: Brahma, Pramada, Vipralisa, Karunapatha. So this subject of illusion. So Lord not only protect pure devotees, but also he arranges all of his devotee associations, satsanga, by which one enthuses the other. Matchita madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha. So by this arrangement, that one devotee enthuses the other devotee. Matchita madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha. So here, when Dhruva Maharaj appeared to be illusioned by the demonic power who created many strange phenomena to frighten Dhruva Maharaja. Because Dhruva Maharaja always took exclusive shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a completely surrendered devotee, he is not subjected to such fear. आश्रय विज्ञ वाक्य नाही यही सब दोष. The advanced pure devotees is freed from such defects. But the illusion what are being created by such demonic people are mitigated by the protections of Supreme Personality of Godhead along with all of his associates. The devotees of Supreme Personality of Godhead, they assembled and explained to Dhruva Maharaj that you are always protected by Saranga Dhanva. Saranga Dhanva means the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is holding the Saranga Dhanu, who can shoot arrows to destroy all of the inimical weaponaries that come to trouble a devotee. So devotee is always protected. It may be many kind of suffering. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings that Tomara sansare dukha hayojata. In this material world, we have so many suffering. Sevata parama sukha. A devotee consider that these dukkha or the pains are especially defined by various people as per their consciousness. What is defined by an entangled person as dukkha can be regarded by a devotee as paramasukha. Like tapasya, vairagya, they appear very painful to ordinary people. But tapasya and vairagya are the source of transcendental pleasure for a devotee. So it is about the definitions, and that definition is set by the mind. When mind aspires so many things, lots of expectations and anxieties caused by that, experiences him dukkha or the miseries. However, a transcendental self-realized devotee who is surrendered to Lord never experiences such miseries. Rather, such apparent miseries for ordinary people turn out to be transcendental pleasure for the devotees. তোমার সেবায় দুঃখ হয়ুচত সেও তো পরম সুখ while executing devotional services তোমার সেবায়. So ordinary people they see that this person who is working so hard for the ashramas sometimes trouble to get funds to do that, sometimes is unable to get sufficient shelter, food or clothes, etc. They assume that that devotee is not really happy because he is not getting these basic necessities of life like food, shelter, or a family life. He is not having family life. What kind of pleasure he would be getting? So this kind of thought is there in ordinary people. However, a devotee who is executing first class devotion service, it appears to be that he undergoes so many difficulties, maybe lack of certain primary availability of like ahara, nidra, bhaya, the protections. But in actual, they are all arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not having any dearth of any of such things, but he is always protected by the Supreme arrangement of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sometimes he will sometimes undergo certain lack of the things, but by arrangement of Supreme Personality of Godhead, will get everything that is required to serve Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same times, certain minimal tapasya are very much necessary. So this vairagya, tyaga are real sukha for the devotee. Seva sukha dukha parama sampada nasaya vidya dukha. So while executing devotional service, sometimes it appears to be sukha, sometimes it appears to be dukha. To whom? To ordinary people. But they are the treasure of the devotee, parama sampada, treasure of the devotee, which destroys nasaye avidya dukha, which destroys the real miseries. Avidya. Avidya means the ignorance, finding oneself with the body. That is the real problem. Atmanivedana tu apade kori হইনু পরম সুখী দুঃখ দূর গেল চিন্তা না রহিল চৌদুগে আনন্দ দেখি আত্মনিবেদন তুই আপদে করি হইনু পরম সুখী দুঃখ দূর গেল চিন্তা না রহিল চৌদুগে আনন্দ দেখি অশোক অভয় মৃত আধার তোমার চরণ দ্বয় তাহাতে এখন বিশ্রাম লভিয়া ছাড়িনু ভবের ভয়. So Atma Nivedana Tuya Padekari, a devotee who is completely taken the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is completely surrendered, without doubt, without hesitations, and without any fear, he is completely dependent on the mercy of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has become transcendently happy, Paramasukhi. Dukha duragala chintana rahila. The so-called miseries of avidya is not there in front of a devotee. And there is nothing to be anxiety for. Kuntha is completely destroyed. In that state, he is at the platform of Vaikuntha. Chauduge Ananda Dekhi, everywhere he sees, the pleasure is being present for him. Wherever he goes, wherever he being situated. He might be at his home or he might be in Pravasa. Wherever he is. Bahirnusingha, Hrudayanusingha. Yato yato jami tato nusingha. Supreme Personality of Godhead is the protector everywhere he is, whether he is outside, whether he is inside. Within his heart, Lord protects his desires, give a direction to the desire. Outside, he protects himself from the external enemies. So, like that, he is protected all around and completely established in a state where he has nothing to be lamented for. And only the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead can grant such thing. Asuka bhaya amruta adhar tumara charana dvaya. If you search a source of happiness which, which will give you the flows of amruta, immortality, happiness that is unending, and no fear, no lamentations. You will keep on searching and you will try one after the other. Means you will first try that let me earn sufficient money so that I can be Ashoka Abhaya and happy. Then you keep on earning, your days got spent by earning money. You might got old, so many diseases, and the inabilities of the bodies got developed. Bardhaksha ekhono. So now, at this age of old age, he is unable to do the things properly. Disease in various form attacked. Now he is thinking that let me go to the doctor, get some surgery or medicines, plastic surgery. He might utilize his earning to save him this way and that way. None of this attempt could ever solve. And that further causes many other diseases. There are so many diseases like cancer and many other diseases are present at this age. And one may fall in the trap of resolving one problem by another problem by applying remedial measures. So, without taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, even though somebody tries with all of his ability to solve a problem, but in return, that problem causes another problem. And he keep on wasting his life's time on solving problems after problems. Bahusakha hi anantascha buddhaya avyavasainam. Those whose consciousness are not resolute at the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead, so they suffers this kind of irresolution mentality who runs after remedial measures to solve the problems which arises one after the other. Tahate kona visrama labhiya chadinu bhavera bhaya. When one takes exclusive shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord himself protects such devotees. He need not to suffer such a repeated cycle of birth and death, and he is well protected by the arrangement of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the essence, that one must take exclusive shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. तुम्हारा କାର୍ଯ୍ୟର କାର୍ଯ୍ୟରତରେ for Supreme Personality of Godhead. तुम्हारो କାର୍ଯ୍ୟରତରେ ଉପାର୍ଜିବ ଧନ, तुम्हारो ସଂସାରେ ବ୍ୟୟ କରିବ ବହନ. That this mentality of a irresolute person who is not Krishna conscious, who is not self-realized, he wastes his time in earning money for so many things which do not give him a real happiness. However, a devotee who is aware about this concept, he also earns money. But for what purpose? तुम्हारो କାର୍ଯ୍ୟର ତୋରେ ଉପାର୍ଜିବ ଧନ तुम्हारो ସଂସାରେ ବ୍ୟୟ କରିବ ଭୁବନ. It's very well explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Even though he earns money, but he earns money for the work of Supreme Personality of Godhead, for Krishna. And he also spend for family life. It is not rejected that one do not spend money for his family. But what is his conception? What is his thought? Tumhara sansare. This family belonging to you. He's not thinking that this family is belonging to me. My wife, my children, my family. This concept is not there. Your children, your wife, your family, your servants. The concept got changed. You may not say your wife to Krishna, but you may say your servant to Krishna. So like that, the change of the relationship, the transformation of the relationship, when the Sambandha Vijnana becomes fixed in a devotee, he not only understands he himself is servant of God, but also all of his family relatives are also servant of God, even though they might realize or not. But the devotee himself very well realized. Tumhara samsare beo karibo bahana. Means he may bear such expenses of family, but not in the false ego of that he is the protector, he is the owner of the family, but Krishna. ভালো মন্দ নাহি জানি সেবা মাত্র করি তোমার সংসারে আমি বিষয় প্রহরী ভালো মন্দ নাহি জানি সেবা মাত্র করি তোমার সংসারে আমি বিষয় প্রহরী. He never identified this is good, that is bad. We most of the time struggles for that, especially during exchanges of activities and during the discussion with family. We say this is wrong, that is wrong. Your wife may say, don't do this, don't do that, why you have done this, like that. So many conflicts happen. Bhalo manda. Daitya bhalo manda ubhay dvanda. That is the cause of all this confusion and problems, fightings in this age of Kali. Finding this is good, that is bad. But the concept of the devotee is that he is ready to do, if it may be regarded as manda means bad by ordinary people, even though that may be regarded as good by ordinary people. Irrespective of what others says about his activities being good or bad, but his activities is nothing other than pleasing Supreme Personality of Godhead. Seva matra kari. ভালো মন্দ নাহি জানি সেবা মাত্র করি তোমার সংসারে আমি বিষয় প্রহরী. In your sansara, I am just a guard, just like security guard. Security guard protects that house. There can be many gold, jewelry, can be money, all this treasure might be there. And the guard is protecting. God never says that these are my wealth. But God very well knows that these are the wealth of his master. Similarly, when we protect the sansara of Krishna, we very well know that these properties, this family, these family members, everything belonging to Krishna. And what is my only duty is to serve, just like a servant only serve the master without any other thought in his mind about owning the property, the children, etc., as of himself. But he very well knows those are all belonging to his master and he is the one to serve the master. ভালো মন্দ নাহি জানি সেবা মাত্র করি তোমার সংসারে আমি বিষয় প্রহরী. This Atma Nivedana is further explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. তুমি তো ঠাকুর তোমার কুকুর বলিয়া জান মোরে. Just like a pet dog is completely dependent on the mercy of the master. Similarly, a devotee, when completely surrender everything to Supreme Personality of Godhead, he completely depends upon the supreme will of Supreme Personality of Godhead and nonetheless have a different desire than that Lord desires for him. তোমার ইচ্ছায় মোর ইন্দ্রিয় চালনা শ্রবণ দর্শন ঘ্রাণ ভোজন বাসনা. তোমার ইচ্ছায় মোর ইন্দ্রিয় চালনা শ্রবণ দর্শন ঘ্রাণ ভোজন বাসনা. তোমার ইচ্ছায় মোর ইন্দ্রিয় চালনা. That means a devotee act as per the directions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like a dog is taken here and there by the master. Similarly, Supreme Personality of Godhead, as per his will, guide a devotee to do certain activities, to go somewhere, to eat something, to smell something. Sravana darshana grana bhajana vasana. Sravana, to hear something, to see something, darsana, grana, to smell something, or bhojana, to eat something, or to get any kind of desire. Vasana means various desire. That all as per the Supreme Personality of Godhead. নিজ সুখ লাগে কিছু নাহি আর ভকতি বিনোদ বলে তব সুখ সার. For his own pleasure he do nothing, and tava sukha sara, he only acts for the pleasure of Supreme Personality of Godhead. তোমার সংসারে করিব সেবন নাহিব ফলের ভাগী তব সুখ যাহে করিব যতন হই পদে অনুরাগী. At this state, he always act for the service of the Lord. Even though he is remaining within the samsara, still his only desire is to please Supreme Personality of Godhead. And no other activities can ever comes to his mind than to serve Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nahiva phalera bhagi. So that basic principle is that phala sakto nibaddhate. A living entity is bound to various karma or attracted by various karma. Even though Prakriti is acting behind that, but this false ego is that he is the actor and he will be enjoying the result. Phala sakto nibaddhate. Prakriti kriyamani gunai karma sangas sarvasah ahankara vibhudatma kartaham iti manyate. So in the platform of transcendental knowledge, what is to be understood as a sense is that you may try to serve Supreme Personality of Godhead, you may showcase so many things, but until and unless the false ego is not surrendered to Lord, the identity of material existence, that this is me, this is my body, this is my wealth, this much money I accumulated, this property and this prestigious, Lava Puja Pratishtha, everything I earned, so I will enjoy. This concept are so strong in this material world for a living entity which is called identity polarizations or the false ego. Identifying yourself with a character, even though you might be doing certain act or playing a game. So you are just a character, temporarily assuming that character you played certain act, but you are not that character. So giving up this attitude of observed in the game or in the play is the foolishness. One has to come out of the game or the play. Suppose this cinema actor, if he is always remaining in the character, even after finishing the play, he is still in the character. That means he is illusioned. So it might be possible that we have to play certain character, but we not necessarily play those character which causes us sinful enjoyment. The thrills that is termed as sinful. So that means a devotee should never play a character that is sinful in nature. He will play the character that is for the pleasure of Lord. Seva matra kari. तुम्हारा संसारे करिब सेवन. He might engage in certain play, but he knows that these are the service of the Lord, and he will never be affected by the so-called affairs of samsara, even though he is acting on that, because he do all that activities for the pleasure of Lord, and all the results are surrendered to Lord. So that is the science that how Dhruva Maharaj dedicated his life's every activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by that, simply because of his surrenderness, he was freed from all kind of fears and always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At this age of Kali, if one is able to take this chanting of holy name and serve Supreme Personality of Godhead with the chanting of holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He will be definitely protected all around and will not have to suffer the existence of material world. And giving up your false ego is the most important thing that should give to Lord. You may think that you have no money to give, you have no property to give to Krishna. Krishna is not expecting all these things. When you give up your identity of false identification with this body, and when you realize that you are part and parcel of Krishna, by that you give up of all of your false identifications, remain with the identification as the servant of Krishna. That is the greatest process of surrenderness. Hare Krishna.